Hello and good evening, everybody. Welcome to Wrestleview Post-Raw number 170. I am Mike Tedesco here for the Raw after WrestleMania 40. You can hear it. I've had a long weekend talking about wrestling. My voice is still not what I want it to be, but I'm making my way. We're just going to do it. We're just going to do the show. So, big show tonight. Really, really big show. I can't wait to get into talking about it, but I do want to say hello to everybody in the chat room, and I want to thank everybody for coming out for another night to hang out with us as we continue to discuss wrestling. It's been a big week. You know, we had. I'm not used to doing back-to-back post-Raw shows. It's been a while since I've done this, but here we are. We started last Monday. Feels like 10 years ago after this weekend. But Roy and I did a post-Raw show last week for the Raw before WrestleMania. We did a prediction show with Alex Cars and Jerome Weiland on Thursday, and I think we actually all did pretty well with our predictions. I think that we represented ourselves as like we know a thing or two about wrestling. You know, we got a couple things right. We had obviously, and I did the Hall of Fame recap. I had did the WrestleMania recaps as well. We had two post WrestleMania shows, man. And now we had an excellent Raw after WrestleMania 40. Did I fix my mic? I don't even know. I have nobody here with me tonight to help me out and let me know if this is going well. So let me know. I did adjust some settings on this thing. And look, I got it in the mail yesterday. Like, I was like, I do want to up my game a little bit. I got the backdrop here. I got the LEDs. I got like a little stupid light thing here for my face. So you can limit, you can kind of wash out some of the hideousness here. And then I was like, I need a microphone. So I got a new microphone. I got the Blue Yeti. Amazon overnighted it to me. So I had it for WrestleMania Sunday. And hell, I said, screw it. Let's just go live and just figure out any issues that happen right then and there. So that's what I did. Okay, good. It sounds fine. Mike is great. I like to hear that. Yes, Corey, thank you so much for saying that, my friend. Happy birthday to the queen of Wrestleview, Victoria. Victoria is upstairs. Unfortunately, I don't know if she's going to be able to join me for this show. I really hope that she can at some point. I'm going to send her the StreamYard link and see what happens. But we got a 1-year-old teething. We have a 4-year-old that was having trouble sleeping, had a bad dream already, and she's literally like any second she could have a baby, our third baby. So we'll see. I'm here by myself talking. So listen, everybody's been tremendous all weekend long, even on the prediction show and on the post-Raw show last week. Everybody's been absolutely tremendous. Lively chat. So I'm going to need you to help me keep this conversation going. I'm talking directly to you people. And let's have a great show tonight. Let's have some fun talking about this stuff. I want to know your thoughts. I want to know what you thought of the Raw after WrestleMania. I want to know what you thought of this whole entire thing. Like, what's this new era mean to you? So before we get into all that stuff, let's say hello to the Supreme Hype Machine, Quentin Walters. Hello, Quentin, and happy birthday to the true final boss. That is true. Victoria Tedesco. Oh, look at this. He walked into an interview shot at the Hall of Fame. He's talking about Keith Lee. Yes, Keith Lee. They had a lot of people there from AEW. For this show. Last night, there were a couple pictures emerged of a luxury box that had Ricky Starks. Obviously, Dustin Runnels was there. Dustin Rhodes. They obviously can't appear for obvious reasons. Signed AEW stars. But they were there to support Cody. This weekend was chock full of AEW people just all over the backstage area. So it's like, I think people are putting a little too much into it. The Hall of Fame is kind of like a loose kind of thing. And I think it's less a WWE broadcast and more of like actually they're just broadcasting a ceremony. So people are walking backstage all the time. You can see a couple of people just like talking in the background, and it's not set up that way. It's just, they're just there. So I think Keith Lee was kind of just there. We got Grash in the room. We got Daniel Shell. So we got Goosey. We got Andrew Elder, the Wrestleview Fiend. Of course, we have Corey Howell with us. We got Alex Cars in the room. We got Stoy Anowski here. And I'm just saying hello to anybody that I see in the chat. So if you're here, say hello. I will make sure I say hello back. But let's talk about this Raw, because last year, the Raw after WrestleMania was such a sad debacle, such a depressing show to watch. And two words sum it up for the reason why: Vince McMahon. He, after really, WrestleMania 39 was a fabulous WrestleMania. I thought night one was better than night two. I didn't think it was spaced out well or paced well. So that night two kind of struggled. But the main event was fantastic with Cody and Roman, even though I was not happy with the finish, but it all made sense. I mean, like, obviously it built to this year. They thought they could get one more year out of it. And you know what? They were right. They were absolutely right. But Vince, in this weird hostile takeover that he committed against his own family, ousting his daughter from the company in January 2023, and then coming in with the TKO executives after appearing on CNBC earlier in the day looking like Gomez Adams, saying that WWE is being sold to Endeavor and they're going to merge into a $21 billion company with the UFC called TKO. So Vince is like, okay, I'm going to show you how a wrestling show is run now. He goes in there. I think he really scared the TKO executives that night because it was an unmitigated disaster. You know, Fightful always releases the rundown of the Raw shows, and they're always spot on. They're always spot on, you know, with the rundown, because that's, you know, Triple H writes a show and they go live with it. And that's the show. That's generally how it works. You have a script, and when it's showtime, you just do the script. Not Vince. No, everything gets thrown out. Everything gets changed. So you have a Seth Rollins promo that goes, you know, he comes out. All of a sudden he's standing in the ring and they go to commercial, and then you see, you know, the video emerges of somebody telling Seth Rollins, oh, well, you know, this is what Vince wants you to do now. And he freaking just flips out a little bit. Then he come back from the commercial break. He stands in the ring, says nothing, lets the crowd sing, and leaves. It was so stupid. The whole show itself was pretty brutal. I did like the angle with Brock Lesnar attacking Cody Rhodes. I thought that was a little unexpected, and actually did lead to a really great feud. But the chaos and the overall, you could just feel the air and the energy of the performers and the production crew, and you know, just it deflated. And it was that way for a few months until finally TKO signed the paperwork and they said, okay, Vince, you're done with creative. You are done. We just focus on getting us a deal. Okay. And then obviously Vince got ousted for good in January. Ironically, almost a year to the day that he ousted his own daughter. He gets booted out of the company. She's back. It is the Paul Levesque era. This show is night and day compared to what happened last year, and everybody looks forward to the Raw after WrestleMania. Everybody, you know, I don't care what you say. It has probably the best crowd that you'll have of the year at the show. They always pull out surprises, and and again, like, WrestleMania finishes up a lot of stuff, ties up a lot of loose ends. So you got to now book for the next few months. There's no booking under Vince McMahon. You know, there's just no booking at all under Vince. So, you know, like long-term booking, that is. So tonight we had great moments. We had an awesome crowd almost the entire evening. They definitely started getting a little WrestleMania hangover toward the main event, but they did come alive for the last few minutes of that main event. And the main event was very, very good. They had good action. There was good drama, the stuff with Cody and The Rock, which I can't wait to talk about in a few moments. And also they're planning for the next few months and beyond, you know, setting, you know, major goals for Cody Rhodes, and, you know, teasing, you know, what could happen soon. So we'll see what happens. Let's get into the show. Uncle Billy's here. Billy Hefner, my brother. Good evening, Billy. All right. So this show kicks off with Paul Triple H Levesque coming out. Michael Cole says the Paul Levesque era is officially here. I love Paul Levesque. He's doing a tremendous job. It really, truly is the Paul Levesque era. There's no question about it. You know, I do hope that they start to ease up on it a little bit, though. You know, he's the one who's booking the show. So he's booking them, like he's booking this coming out. I'm sure some of them are going to business for themselves because they're so happy with what's going on. But I think we need to chill on the Paul Levesque stuff now. It's like, okay, yes, indeed, it is the Paul Levesque era. But you know, after a weekend like this, you can take a few victory laps. It's totally fine. He gets in the ring. The crowd is just loving him. Massive thank you, Hunter chants. And he says, here's the thing. I came out to thank you. Less than 24 hours ago, something special happened. And he can really say it's the greatest WrestleMania of all time. Now, will us wrestling historians look at it as the greatest WrestleMania of all time? Actually, 24 hours later, I'm even more convinced than I was last night. Because last night, look, you know, you're just sitting in the aftermath of like what was a spectacular main event, a really, really fantastic main event, and you know, you're just your mind's swimming with just like how much fun you had watching it, how satisfying that ending was, and in the immediate aftermath, you can say things like, "This was the best ever. I've never seen anything better." Then the next day, you're like, "Okay, let's pump the brakes a little bit." I was thinking about it all day today. Really, my mind was just, you know, when I went back to work, you know, talking to people about WrestleMania. People were coming up to me talking about WrestleMania. I've been thinking about and talking about WrestleMania all day. I'm more convinced now than ever that this is probably one of the top WrestleManias of all time. That main event is probably one of the top WrestleMania main events of all time. I think it's even bigger than Daniel Bryan's WrestleMania. That it's moving into those kinds of territories. So he thanks everybody for, you know, what was truly the greatest WrestleMania of all time. And look, if you just measure it, excuse me, if you just measure it on the metrics, you know, for how many people attended, over 200,000 people for the 5 day, for 5 events over the weekend. That's a ginormous success. Ginormous. You know, they obliterated everything on social media. They obliterated all their Peacock numbers. They obliterated um, just even the number of people that have ever tuned in to watch a WrestleMania. So in just the metrics and numbers, and and the gate, obviously, like the money generated, it's huge, huge. Excuse me. Still fighting off this cough. So you have to, you know, I'm doing a one-man show here with a bad voice. So you'll have to excuse me here. Um, so that's the greatest WrestleMania of all time. That's the biggest WrestleMania of all time. But you know, the content itself, this really truly was great. You know, yeah, I don't know. Goosey saying, Matt, outside of Cody Roman, the rest of the show was just okay. I loved that main event from night one, you know, because it ties into night two. Like, even though, like, look, you know, you knew what was happening. You knew exactly how some of these things happened exactly how you thought they were going to go. Some of them went exactly how I thought they'd go, but they were even better than I thought. There was actually even better things that happened than I had even imagined. I thought that main event was great. I really loved both women's matches. You know, Rhea Ripley versus Becky Lynch was fantastic. I saw some people like not happy with that match. I don't know what match they were watching, but I thought it was fantastic. Bailey versus Io Sky was a classic. Really, I think, you know, I have to give that match a watch again, but that was really, really a great match. I thought Drew versus Seth Rollins was fascinating. Really, really well done. And they only had it 10 minutes. And then, of course, you can't forget, oh, and Nafis Sadat like he's reading my mind. Nafis, hello, sir, by the way. I got a soft spot for Gunther Sammy. That match hit me in the feels. 100%. Gunther versus Sammy, you know, other than the main event, I think that was the best match that WWE put out this weekend. You know, that was tons and tons of drama in that, hard hitting, you know, real history on the line too. Nobody had ever held that Intercontinental title longer than Gunther has. So it's less like, you know, like what Roman Reigns did was phenomenal, but he would have to hold the title for another couple of years to even touch the longest reigning champion of all time, Bruno Sammartino. That first reign went from like 63 to like 1972 or something like that, or like 60. Yeah, I think it was like 63 to 1970. It was like 7 years long of Bruno. So I don't think we could have done that with Roman Reigns, but damn, you know, like it, Gunther is the longest reigning Intercontinental champion of all time, broke a 35-year record. There was real history being ended in that match on top of a really well told story in the ring. I didn't think the story before the match was all that compelling, but in the ring, the story they were telling with their bodies, phenomenal. Really, really phenomenal. Yeah, and Andrew Elder, that's an ominous number, 666 days for Gunther. Goddamn, this Mania was so bland, but the casuals just eat it up. Why? I'm anything but a casual fan, Phil. It was actually a good show. I mean, if you watch it with the intent of being upset and miserable while watching it, then yeah, you're definitely going to be like, it was bland, it would sucked. I predicted everything. I don't think that being able to predict things and things going exactly how you think they should go is a bad thing. Everybody is so locked into this bullshit Vince Russo, everything has to be a swerve that you can't even watch it. Like, and then when the swerves happen, then you get mad because it doesn't make sense. You can never be happy if you're just trying to work in swerves and trick people all the time. So I think, I think Phil's suffering from a little Vince Russo swerve syndrome here, because the swerves weren't there. It was a well built finish, and the swerves, by the way, they Vince was really really working on swerves, for the last couple of years. The swerves can actually damage people something fierce, really, really fierce. Um, and it can actually hinder somebody's growth. If they were doing swerves when Cody, as Cody's getting, supposed to be getting crowned as champion, and let's say like one of those, the swerve is that he gets beat, or that somebody returns and breaks up a pinfall that Roman Reigns was doing on him, it could hurt the story. So forget it. Forget the swerves. Like we have to get back to actually telling competent stories that make sense. That's why people are eating it up, because it actually made sense. Okay, I'm not even arguing with this guy, because we're just we're off the rails here. No way. All right, Steven Herrera says best WrestleMania since WrestleMania 17. I would absolutely agree with that. Top to bottom, there was nothing bad on the show. And again, every match was good to great, but nothing trumped the main event, which is exactly what you want. That's exactly how a wrestling show should be booked. Each match gets progressively better until you get to the main event, which is where they pull out all the stops. And that's exactly what they did here. Nothing was better than the story being told in the main event. Really, really good. So anyway, we got Paul Triple H Levesque in the ring. He's thrilled to death, as he should be. For God's sake, he really pulled off one hell of a show here. And he introduces our undisputed WWE champion, the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. Interesting that they are dropping the universal aspect of this now. Now it's just undisputed WWE champion. The graphics department didn't get that memo, because it seemed like they were kind of like they were still listing it as as universal championship as well. But it looks like going forward, because they had Samantha Irvin say it last night. They had and they had Paul Levesque say it. I'm sure Paul Levesque's not going to make a mistake saying the title name. And also, when she did the reintroduction of Cody Rhodes, she introduced it as the undisputed WWE champion. So I like that. I like that name change. It's just definitely easier to type, less stuff that I have to do. The American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. And he comes out to just a massive pop. And really, it's just for, and this first hour is commercial free, so it was long. They did like a victory lap with him for like 20 minutes, it felt like. Cody didn't even say anything. Triple H put him over, congratulated him, put over Roman Reigns for what he did. And then they showcased this really, really nice, video of Cody's journey from the start to finish, from the start of his career, basically, to the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. And it really, like, they had an awesome setup for the show tonight too, because they packed people in there. It was the biggest gate in Raw history. They packed fans in there. So they had the smaller setup that they kept from SmackDown. And so they had to have these like giant TV screens at ringside. It reminded me of SummerSlam 1996, when they were doing the Boiler Room Brawl with The Undertaker and Mankind, and there wasn't a Titantron back in the day. So they had these like big fat TVs at, at ringside on, for SummerSlam so that people could actually see what the hell was going on because basically Undertaker and Mankind had a 20-minute match in the Boiler Room. And how are you supposed to see it? So that's how they did. That's what they did tonight. They brought out flat screen TVs so Cody could watch this video. It was really, really great. And it was beautiful. Really. It apparently the production crew made it just for Cody, but Triple H saw it and was like, you know what? We got to share this with the world. And they did this really awesome thing. Like right at the end, Cody holding up the title on the turnbuckles. And then it transitioned to that picture of Dusty Rhodes when he held up the WWF title that he thought he had won from Superstar Billy Graham. He was champion for like a day or whatever it was. It was just so nice. It was just a beautiful moment. And really, like those are the moments that I live for as a wrestling fan. I don't know about you, but the stuff that like dips into real life, when it's more than just a show now, like, some of the best Raw moments are like, sometimes they're sad moments. Like, I thought one of the most emotional Raw moments I'd seen in recent years was when Daniel Bryan retired and that retirement speech he made. It was just, it was beautiful. Like really, it was, it was a real moment because it was real, Edge's retirement speech. But, like these moments when people are celebrating like a career achievement and they're being, essentially crowned like the next thing, Cody Rhodes is living, it's a storyline, but it's real as well. It's as real to him as anything else. Um, it's just, yeah, the Bray tribute nights, um, uh, the Bray tribute nights were beautiful. Yeah. And even the stuff with like Terry Funk with Cody Rhodes coming out and talking about, like what Terry Funk meant to his family on that same night. Cause Bray and Terry died, relatively close to each other. So they had a combined show for them. So after a while of this, Cody Rhodes kind of mugs for a little bit. He's really emotional. He was really emotional after watching that video. He talks about how he laid out his goals and dreams 2 years ago. Um, for on the Raw after WrestleMania about how he wants to finish that story that his father started, and here he is. After WrestleMania 40, the dream becomes reality. They are on top of the mountain, and he puts over Roman Reigns too. 1,316 days as champion. 1,316 days. That's just a wild number. I don't know if we'll see that again for a long time, if ever. I don't think Cody Rhodes is going to hold the title for 3 years. I think he's going to have an extended title run for sure, but I don't think it's going to be 3 years. Um, and maybe it shouldn't. I think what Roman did was really, really special. But like it all built to that beautiful moment last night at WrestleMania. But is 3 years too much in this time? It's there's a discussion to be had. I don't have anybody to discuss it with except for the chat, so I'm not going to get in. I can't really get into it, but we'll see. So he said, he put over his family. He said, a big question people ask you when you get into wrestling and sports entertainment is why do you do this? Why do you, go through all of this to have these moments? And then he shows a video of his daughter going, Papa, finish the story. Papa, finish the story. It was really, again, like I was talking with Adam on Saturday. We were talking about, those that have kiddos. Sometimes these things ring a little deeper, and as a father of two girls, soon to be three, that really, um, that was really, really sweet. And because I know that like I work my ass off for my wife, who's the love of my life, and I work my ass off for my kids to make sure that they have a good life. And that's what Cody Rhodes is doing in a large sense. He makes a lot more money than I do doing what he does. But he wants, he said he talked about his daughter, wanting his daughter to know that, like, when I leave you, I'm not just fighting as a challenger. I'm the champion. I'm in the main event now. I'm not going out and not living my dream. I have accomplished my dreams now, and I am where I want to be. It was really beautiful. He goes, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Cody Rhodes, once undesirable, become undeniable, and now undisputed Universal WWE Champion. So he got his title name wrong too. And the crowd was really happy. And then all of a sudden, I was not expecting to see him at all. I thought everybody from the bloodline is going to disappear for a little bit after, Roman Reigns took the loss, but The Rock makes his way to the ring, and this was such a cool moment. He comes to the ring with his People's Championship, which is so ridiculous that he's holding a title for the People's Championship given to him by Muhammad Ali's widow, Lonnie Ali. And he gets in the ring, and the crowd is just absolutely buzzing. First, they love him. First, they're chanting Rocky. Then the next thing, then before you know it, there's an Undertaker chant. Then he tries to speak and they boo him down. Then a Rocky sucks chant picks up. And then there's some really vulgar chants. They tell him to shut the F up. And he tries to speak and they boo him down. He says, I'm a lot of things, but Philadelphia sucks is not one of them. And they chant, it doesn't matter. They call him an a-hole. It's just, yeah, yeah, yeah. And you wonder why close. I remember that. I remember that very well. That was a great account. Um, and then finally, like after a long time of like just this, the crowd going nuts, The Rock started speaking. They were giving him the what treatment. And oh my God, I actually had to pause and then rewind the show to get back to where I needed to be because I was laughing so hard at this next part. He goes, before we begin, what? The Rock, what? Came out here to deliver flowers to Cody Rhodes and also say that Philadelphia broke another record. And they're giving him the what treatment the whole entire time. Yes, Philadelphia broke another record for the largest gathering of trailer park trash. And he the way he delivered it, it sounded like he was doing his TKO executive thing about, because he tweeted that thing out there about, WrestleMania on Saturday. And oh my God, when he hit them with the trailer park trash thing, even though we've heard him do that insult before. I just wasn't expecting it. And goddamn, that guy is just so funny. I was crying when they did that. It was so Michael Cole and Pat McAfee were laughing their tits off on commentary at that. They just absolutely loved it. It was so funny. And then he curses back at the crowd, and and now the thing is off the rails. The crowd is just they want to just they're buzzing, they're laughing, they don't know what to do. They're booing The Rock, they're cheering The Rock, they're laughing, they're not letting this segment move forward. So then Cody Rhodes does the perfect thing. He just goes to the crowd, holds the title up, and they start cheering again. Now, I mean, this guy is over as a babyface, hottest babyface since Daniel Bryan, probably hotter than Daniel Bryan even was at his red hot level. Perhaps, arguably, I think if not, they're exactly even. And that finally allows the segment to get underway. So The Rock says, I'm here with no fireworks or blood being spilled. I just want to give you your flowers. They can chant what they want, but this is between us. You completed your story, you beat all the odds, and he's not talking like The Rock. He's talking like, man to man here. He's not talking loud enough for even maybe some in the crowd might have missed what he was saying. But he talked about, how he whooped him he whooped him pretty good. He had a special belt with Mama Rhodes on it. Mama Rhodes was so happy, had a big smile on her face. She was proud of her boy. And I can tell you, your daddy in heaven had a big smile on his face as well, which gets a Dusty Rhodes chant. He talks about how Dusty Rhodes was his hero growing up and how Dusty Rhodes was friends with The Rock's father, the late soul man Rocky Johnson. Now, while Dusty may be proud of Cody, soul man Rocky Johnson might not be proud of The Rock. He acknowledges that his own father might not be proud of him for what he did to Cody, but he doesn't care. Rhodes did it and finished the story. He has a brand new belt with a nameplate, but his People's Championship is not fake. Years ago, when he was in Nation Domination, Muhammad Ali permitted him to call himself the People's Champion. His widow, Lonnie, gave it to him. He's proud of the title, but he wants to know if he can hold Rhodes' title. And that, when he said that, it was so unexpected. Like, you could hear the crowd just go, what? I want to hold your title? It was just, it's not something you expect. And Cody was great. He was like, what? He goes, I've held a lot of titles for my career. I've never held that one. I really want to hold it. And Cody was like, you really want to hold this title? He goes, I do. He's like speaking softly. He's being, calm. He's not his big bombastic, The Rock, the final boss. It's just, I want the new Beatles hit, I want to hold your bell. Can't sing tonight, but, or maybe ever, I don't know. But, he goes, yeah, you can hold mine as long as I can hold yours. So Rock's like, sure, of course, absolutely. I'd be honored for you to hold the People's Champ title. Yes. So they did this like weird thing. It was almost like I was getting like these like flashbacks to Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair doing a title exchange on that ill-fated SmackDown segment, which had Vince's fingerprints all over it, and it was as big a disaster as you would think that something with Vince's fingerprints all over it would be. He ended a friendship. That's how bad it was. So they exchanged titles. The Rock holds the Universal title, and the crowd was incredible at this point. They start chanting, "This is awkward." Oh man. And the Rock says, okay, they give the titles back. He goes, that meant a lot. As many know, I'm gonna have to go away for a little while. And the crowd starts to sing Kiss Him Goodbye, the na 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 thing. He goes, I'm going to go away, but when I come back, whether you're champion or not, Cody Rhodes, I'm coming back for you. And Rhodes says, I'm looking forward to it. And The Rock says he's looking forward to it too, as is the world. Yesterday at the biggest WrestleMania of all time, he beat Roman Reigns in the middle of the ring. However, less than 24 hours before that, The Rock reminds Cody Rhodes that he pinned him in the main event of WrestleMania Saturday. So his story with Roman Reigns is over. He did it. So which makes me think that Reigns is not going to be getting a rematch or if and when he comes back, there's not going to be a rematch for him with Cody Rhodes. Perhaps. I don't know. Things change. But their story, The Rock and Cody Rhodes, it's just begun. So right away, the crowd was super happy with that. We got something planned for the future for Cody Rhodes. Awesome stuff. We don't know when it's going to happen. We don't know where it's going to happen. I heard some people saying maybe it happens in Saudi Arabia. That would be so supremely disappointing if it happens there, because that Cody Rhodes versus The Rock really needs to just happen on like a platform that the world is watching, not, a couple people watching that paid $100 million for them to be there. It needs to be on a WrestleMania. It needs to be on a SummerSlam. That's it. Those are the only two options. So Rhodes goes, I believe that because you're the boss, that our story has just begun. You're the final boss, but you're also on the board with TKO. You're my literal boss, right? And The Rock says, yes, I am. So he goes, yeah, I don't dispute that. But I don't think you'll dispute this either. I'm the champion. I'm their champion, and boss, that means I'm your champion. And The Rock says, you are their champion. You're the world's champion. You are my champion. Cody Rhodes, there's one last thing before the final boss rides off into the sunset. I have something for you. No fireworks. He reaches into his pocket. He pulls something out. We don't see what it is, but he puts it in Cody Rhodes' hand and says, you don't even need to open your hand to know what this is. Don't you ever break my heart again if you smell what the final boss is cooking. And we never find out what was actually in Cody's hand. But he just stares at The Rock as he leaves, and he looks, really. This thing went 45 minutes long. I'm telling you, I know, like for some people, it definitely started to drag a little bit. That it was going long, but for me, it was just to me, it was just an awesome segment. Really, really great. I'm guessing what he put in Cody's hand, because at the press conference he said, the High Chief Peter Maivia would be, ashamed of you. I'm guessing he put the Hall of Fame ring that Peter Maivia got in 2008, the late Peter Maivia. He was obviously not allowed to get it, but he probably put that Hall of Fame ring in Cody's hand. And Cody, of course, would know what a Hall of Fame ring feels like because his own father has one. And he goes, don't ever break my heart again. I cannot wait for whenever that happens. It's going to be epic. This whole thing felt epic. The whole reason it felt like this show was that this first hour was commercial free was just so that they could fit in this whole entire thing with no interruptions and let them go as long as they needed. And I'm sure this cut down on some of the matches. And part of my problem, one of the reasons why I don't like these commercial free first hours of Raw, other than having to do this marathon of recapping, is obviously advertising is a lot of money, and they're putting off advertising for an hour, but they still got to hit all the same spots. They got to get all the segments in there. So what that means is from 9 to 11, It's just shorter segments, quicker matches, and a lot of commercial breaks. There's a lot of commercial breaks in the show once it moved to uh, commercials again. We shortly moved on to Shinsuke Nakamura facing NXT champion Ilya Dragunov. And they make a big announcement that the 2024 draft will be held on April 26th, starting on SmackDown, and will conclude on the April 29th Raw. So we have and Dragunov. They said Dragunov is saying that he's going to be in the WWE draft. So the NXT people will be in it. There are a couple of people on NXT that need to be on the main roster, and they've been kind of in NXT a little too long. Dragunov strikes me as one of them. And actually, Roxanne Perez, who was on the show later, struck me as another that needs to be on a main stage. NXT is great. It's obviously on TV, but it's not Raw. It's not SmackDown. Like those two are absolutely ready. Braun Breaker was ready long before he debuted in the Rumble. Wins the WrestleMania. We'll talk about that. We got to talk to Paul about that. We'll see. But this was a great showcase for Dragunov. Nothing more than that. Nakamura and him have two styles that mesh really well together. So they had a really a fine match. Next thing we got here is the Judgment Day coming out to celebrate the WrestleMania successes. So we got Finn Balor, Dirty Dom in the ring, and JD. They introduce Finn Balor laughs at the crowd for saying, "Oh, yeah, everybody thought that Becky Lynch was going to beat, Rhea Ripley, and you all thought that Damian Priest would never cash in the Money in the Bank and become Senior World Heavyweight Champion, but you're all wrong." And then you have Dom Mysterio come up, who really he won a Slammy Award for most hated. I think it was most hated or whatever it was. But they just hate him. But with the Judgment Day, with Triple H's booking, this guy has become more than just a Nepo baby. He actually is like a bona fide, true blue, excellent mid card to even, he could have a stint in the main event. I don't think he's a long-term main event guy, but he could definitely have a stint in the main event with that heel heat. He teased it last year with Cody Rhodes at that Money in the Bank match because he was so red hot. He was so red hot as a heel that it was like, oh, put him with Cody. That's a big vote of confidence. So Ripley comes out first, and she says they have a few problems they need to deal with, but two things came out of this weekend. One is that Mommy is always on top, and the other is that this is a new era for the Judgment Day. And then Balor introduces the new World Heavyweight Champion, Damian Priest. And Damian Priest comes out. They do a "You Deserve It" chant. And then all of a sudden, he also called him and Ripley the Terror Twins, which I was like, okay, that's whatever. They're so red hot they can't do anything wrong. But I'm not sure about the Terror Twins. I am not sure about that. But all of a sudden, they hold up their titles, and all of a sudden, R-Truth puts the Raw Tag Team Championship between them. It was so funny. And Damian Priest's like, "We're not doing this." And come on, man, I thought we were done with you. And he goes, "Yeah, like I brought the tag team titles home to the Judgment Day." He's like, just doesn't get it. He goes, "But we do have to talk about maybe letting the Miz into Judgment Day." Finally, the Miz comes out, pulls R-Truth onto his side, says, "You're not in the Judgment Day." And he goes, "Yes, I am." And the crowd chants, "Yes, he is." R-Truth at 52 years old is having an unbelievable renaissance. When he returned, he had a really bad injury. That was a terrible injury that he went through with his quad and ultimately wound up getting infected. He almost could have lost his leg. It got that bad. So having him come back in November, man, and he's 52. He looks like he's 22. He's in phenomenal shape. He's got amazing comedic timing. He still goes just fine in the ring. And credit to Triple H. He's like, I remember when CM Punk returned at Survivor Series and then at the press conference, because I think Survivor Series where R-Truth returned. He mentioned, "How about that comeback?" And everybody thinks he's talking about CM Punk. He goes, "R-Truth is back." Yeah, I think Triple H loves this guy. He's putting him in big spots, and you know what? Freaking Ron Killing's got a WrestleMania moment, and the next night on WrestleMania, the Raw after WrestleMania. You got Damian Priest celebrating winning the world title, and R-Truth is out there, interrupting it. And he says, "Okay, well, Balor wants to face him right now, but R-Truth says, we can't do a title match tonight because we actually want to do a 6-man tag. It's going to be me, The Miz, and a guy you can't see. And everybody starts like, ooh, you start thinking, Cena. And everybody's confused. Miz is like, I want to see our partner. Like, what are you talking about? So the thing starts, and, like, this is like classic, like, wrestling logic that doesn't really make any sense. Like, if it was going to be John Cena and John Cena wanted to tag with them, why wouldn't he just come out right then and there? Why does he let these guys compete in a 3-on-2 handicap match and get their asses kicked until it gets so bad for them? Then he has to run out. That's that classic wrestling logic that doesn't make any sense, but it popped the crowd really big and everybody was super happy. I mean, if you had John Cena competing on the Raw after WrestleMania, if that was on your bingo card, God bless you. Because I did not think that John, I thought he'd appear in the main event. At WrestleMania, we never see him again, for a long time. But here he is in a tag match. I mean, did he do a lot? No, he just did his 5 moves of doom. But again, John Cena being there is a great moment, but it's really actually built for R-Truth. The whole gimmick with R-Truth is that John Cena is his childhood hero. Even though he's 52 years old, he's older than John Cena. I love that. Oh, my childhood hero of John Cena. It's like, it's a great thing. And it's a great gag they've been doing for years. R-Truth does the 5 moves of doom as well. So you can just see how happy R-Truth was that John Cena was in the ring when he finally came out. They do, John does his trademark stuff. Then he does a back suplex powerbomb. R-Truth gets in there, back suplex powerbomb. The Miz gets in there, back suplex powerbomb. They hit a triple 5-knuckle shuffle, which Michael Cole calls the 15-knuckle shuffle, and then a trio of attitude adjustments. And the Miz actually almost slammed, I think it was JD McDonough onto John Cena because the Miz has improved, but in many ways he's still the Miz. So of course he almost slams him onto John Cena. But in any event, they all pick up the win. Great moment. Look, not a long-term storyline here at all, but it puts a bow on the R-Truth story, with the Judgment Day. It gives him yet another moment on this great WrestleMania weekend for him. And, and it's a fun surprise, if you tuned into the Raw after WrestleMania. It's a fun surprise, stuff that we weren't getting last year. This is just, it was great. And at this point, the show's just flying by for me. We're like it's almost like 9:45 by the time that happens. There was an awesome segment and awesome, not for the reason you think. Rhea Ripley, Dirty Dom backstage. They're walking. She's not happy that John Cena showed up. Mysterio's like, I didn't actually think he'd show up. And she says, Cena's not their problem, but Andrade betrayed you. You put your faith in him and he betrayed you. So how are you going to handle it? He says, I'll go talk to Adam Pearce and walks off. All of a sudden, this chair comes flying from off screen, hits Rhea Ripley right in the head. I mean, that is going to be a meme moment forever. Like I could absolutely see that becoming a meme. That chair flying out of nowhere. It's Liv Morgan, and she attacks Rhea Ripley, pretty good backstage. So that's Rhea's next title defense. That's going to be awesome. And finally, Mysterio runs to go. Referees break it up, and then Mysterio runs over, and he goes to the camera, get out of here, and he pushes the camera. And this is the best part of the segment. I love the flying chair. The flying chair is something that's going to live in meme infamy. But this shot, when Mysterio pushed the camera away and said, get out of here, the cameraman just started walking. All of a sudden, he walks out into the arena, goes through the crowd, goes through the timekeeper's area, and we're at ringside where Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae are already in the ring making their entrance. It was like, that's that stuff, that new production stuff that WWE is doing that I just absolutely love. That these continuous shots, like, Sami Zayn talking to his wife, then talking to Chad Gable, then going up the corridor, and then seeing Kevin Owens. And these are, partly scripted and part real moments for Sami Zayn at this point now. He's actually making his entrance for WrestleMania and going to have a match. The camera's following him the whole way. And then you make the entrance with Sami Zayn. I love these new production things. I don't know how everybody else feels about them. I know some people have said that, like, they go a little too overboard with the replays, but I don't mind. Like, on every single football broadcast, there's a replay of every single play that happens. A touchdown gets 1 million replays. So what the heck? I don't know. That's how sports do it. Nobody complains then. So we have Roxanne Perez comes out. the new NXT Women's Champion, and she faces Indy Hartwell. They, for the time that they were given, they actually had a decent match. I love Roxanne Perez. I think she's got superstar written all over her. She's got a great attitude. I love, that, she immediately established herself as somebody who's very unlikable, from a character standpoint. But Candice LeRae is just as unlikable and uh, tries to help Indy Hartwell cheat to win, but Indy doesn't want to cheat to win, so she yells at Candice, and then that winds up costing her the match anyway. So there's dissension in that group, even though it's a group that nobody really. I don't think anybody really cares that Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell are breaking up as a tag team because they just kind of exist. So there's that. Sami Zayn coming out to talk about breaking that record-breaking reign by Gunther. That's 666 days as champion. And he puts over Gunther. He says, you can boo him, but you can't take it away from him. It's 666 days as champion. But guess what? Without question, he's the best Intercontinental champion of all time, but I beat him. It was a fine promo. Then you had Ludwig Kaiser and Giovanni Vinci come out. They're not happy, obviously, that their leader lost. There's no Gunther sightings tonight. Most of the people that took major losses on WrestleMania did not appear. Obviously, no Roman Reigns, no Paul Heyman, no Jimmy Uso, no Solo, no Becky Lynch, Seth Rollins. Those guys, like all these people that, Gunther, obviously, they were all missing in action because whatever. Tonight's the night for the faces to have their victory lap. So Chad Gable runs down to make a save. They actually have a phenomenal, okay, maybe phenomenal is too strong a word, but they had a great tag team match, and mostly because Chad Gable was just so fired up. That crossbody that he hit on Kaiser over the top rope was just wild. He went flying over the top rope, just grazed Kaiser, lands so hard on the floor, and Kaiser just kind of throws himself over. But goddamn, I love Chad Gable. And I'm interested to see how they book Sami Zayn as Intercontinental Champion, and we got a taste of it tonight. He lets Gable get the pin in this match, so that was a fun tag match. We go backstage, and Sami Zayn basically says, like, oh, we're all squared up, right? Because I let you win, you helped me get prepared for Gunther, then I gave you the win tonight on a silver platter. He goes, no, I'm just kidding. I know you want a title shot, so we're gonna do a title match next week in my hometown of Montreal. Sami Zayn versus Chad Gable for the Intercontinental Championship. So I guess he's going to be the workhorse title is still going to be the moniker for the Intercontinental Championship. And I'm so happy that they're in Montreal next week. They're in Montreal partly because they're going to be doing a European tour the week after or during that week. But it's always kind of a letdown. Sometimes like these Raw after WrestleManias when you have this awesome freaking crowd, and then the next week, like I remember the Fandango stuff, because I was in the crowd for that in 2012. Obviously East Rutherford was just going nuts. They were doing the I forget how it goes, but the Fandango chants were all night. And then the next week they had Fandango come out and try to Fandango for people, and the crowd just was like, okay. They didn't want to do it, and it was just kind of like a dead crowd. So booking Montreal right after Philadelphia is such a smart move because Montreal traditionally is a super hot crowd. So hopefully there won't be a discernible drop off. Look, there's only one Raw after WrestleMania, but there won't be a ginormous drop off, going into the Raw after WrestleMania. All right. So in any event, Chelsea Green does her thing where she gets upset that she wasn't on the show. So Adam Pearce is like, oh yeah, go. I got a moment for you. And he's with all the other general managers and they're laughing at her. Jade Cargill comes out for a squash match against Chelsea Green. Was not expecting to see Jade Cargill tonight. So that was fun. Again, she didn't do much. Everything is the name of the game right now is protect Jade at all costs. She's got the look. She has the entrance. The ring work's got to come together. But she did two moves, a big boot and her jaded finish. So that was that. And then finally, now we're at the main event level. Drew McIntyre charges down to the ring. for 5 minutes and 46 seconds, my moment lasted. And then the crowd's kind of like, yeah. And he goes, that's 5 minutes longer than some of you can last in bed. So shut it. I was like, that's an Attitude Era comeback. I like that. Drew McIntyre is just doing phenomenal work. He says, he may not like Seth Rollins all the time, but he respects his convictions. Rollins went out on his shield. They shared a moment that only warriors know. So he thanks him. Then that bondage Undertaker, he calls Damian Priest, screwed it all up. The Money in the Bank briefcase is a joke. It cost me the world title twice, and it cheapens everything that Rollins did as well as McIntyre. So I'm coming after you. You're just a transitional champion, Damian Priest. That belt is coming home with me. But Priest may have the contract, but he didn't cause that finish. The one who caused it is that prick CM Punk. He told Punk he'd win the title and have a moment with his family before rubbing it in his face, and he did exactly that. He looked Punk directly in the eyes, and you just sat there. You just sat there on commentary and said nothing. And then when I took my eyes off you for a second, you swept my feet, took the metal brace off, and bashed me in the face. So if you thought tearing your tricep was bad, you'll be gone for a few months. But when you come back, your body is your weakest point. Everything in your body is your weakest part. So I'm coming after all of that. Good stuff. The main event, Jey Uso interrupts him, which just further pisses off Drew McIntyre. And it transitions into this fatal four-way main event, Drew McIntyre versus main event, Jey Uso versus Big Bronson Reed versus Ricochet. And I thought easily Drew McIntyre is winning tonight. Because basically the next show is Clash at the Castle, I think. Well, WrestleMania Backlash, but like if we got Clash at the Castle on the horizon, I figured that we would have we would start setting Drew up for like a big main event or something like that. But no, not at all. Main event, Jey Uso comes out victorious here, but not before Big Bronson Reed and Ricochet both have some really great moments. I love that Big Bronson Reed was in this match tonight. For years, that Andre the Giant Battle Royal was like a kiss of death for whoever won it, because like it didn't do anything for any of them. Where was that thing I was looking for? Here it is. I was trying to pull up all the winners before, and I totally forgot to bring it up. So just looking at the winners, and this is the 10-year anniversary of the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal because it started at WrestleMania 30. So the first winner was Cesaro, no longer with the company. Big Show, no longer with the company. And again, these things didn't even matter. And the runner-up when Big Show won it was Damien Mizdow. Is Damien Sandow even wrestling anymore? I think he's retired. Then Baron Corbin. He is with the company, but that win did him no favors. Mojo Rawley. Oh my God. I was there for that. He literally only won because he was friends with Rob Gronkowski, and they wanted to make a deal with him. As soon as the Rob Gronkowski thing did not work out, and it really, really didn't work out. That guy did not. I mean, he's a character, but just because you're a character, sometimes it doesn't transition to professional wrestling. When old man Vince is having to show you how to do a dive off a platform into the safe hands of like 1,000 wrestlers, and you're terrified to do it, you got to go. You're not going to make it in this business. So Mojo was there just to get Gronk in there. And then as soon as they got rid of Gronk, bye-bye Mojo. Matt Hardy, I don't even remember him winning in New Orleans, but apparently that happened. Braun Strowman, East Rutherford. But again, Jey Uso won in 2021. It's like Madcap Moss, he's gone. Bobby Lashley last year won only because it was a consolation prize, because he didn't get to have his WrestleMania match against Bray Wyatt because unfortunately Bray was sick, and a sickness that ultimately led to his untimely death. And now we got Bronson Reed. It seems like, now that Bronson Reed is the champion or the Andre the Giant winner, they're going to be putting him in bigger spots. They're actually going to try to use this win as a launching pad rather than just like, oh, well, it's WrestleMania. We got to do the Andre Battle Royal now, right? So having him in that match, really, it means a lot, because it validates the Andre the Giant trophy and makes it seem like it's not such a gigantic waste of time. And then, of course, Ricochet, which Ricochet is there because he is the highlight of the night, and he's there to kind of just like give you a couple of big Raw after WrestleMania moments. and he certainly did. He was phenomenal in this. I actually almost thought that he was there because Samantha Irvin, really, say what you want about her, but she's been going nonstop these last 3 days with ring announcing and putting her whole entire heart, soul, body, and voice into everything she did. I cannot believe she had a voice tonight to even do any announcing. And he's her fiance. I was like, oh, Ricochet's maybe it's like a little thing for like Samantha so that she can, like, one of the final things she does is announce her boyfriend or her fiance. Ricochet was phenomenal in this match. Absolutely phenomenal. Hey, hold on a second here, Daniel. I'm saying nice things about him. I promise. I promise. So they have just a really really good match. Everybody had a moment to shine. I love the face off with Drew McIntyre and Bronson Reed, and McIntyre hitting him with a Michinoku driver was just bananas, absolutely bananas. Toward the end of the match, I mean, the crowd was definitely like a little. They were definitely in a lull a little bit by this point. I think they just completely exhausted themselves. But damn, the last few minutes they really started coming together. Especially when Jay hit the spear on Reed with McIntyre breaking it up. The crowd started chanting, "This is awesome." They knew they were watching a good match. But the big moment of the match came with Jay Uso. I'm sorry. Reed is knocked on the table by Drew McIntyre after they have this really good brawl. Glasgow kiss. He's down on the table. Ricochet takes everybody out and then looks over and he sees Bronson Reed on the table. And he's like, well, I'm Ricochet. I guess I just gotta do it. He goes to the top rope and hits an absolutely bonkers 450 splash through that table through Reed and that table. And that bump was ridiculous because I don't know if everybody remembers this, but in the Ric Flair retirement match at WrestleMania 24, Shawn Michaels went to do an Asai moonsault to Ric Flair through the table, and he hit the table, but that front portion of it didn't fall the way that I think they were expecting to, and he got hung up on it, landed with his ribs on it, and got hung up on there, and really really messed him up. The same thing happened to Ricochet here, and the velocity on that 450 splash was ridiculous, and he got hung up pretty good. He actually immediately got up and was like trying to catch his breath before collapsing again. I hope he's okay because that was supremely nasty. That is not a fun night at the office. I hope he did not break his ribs. But in any event, Ricochet and Bronson Reed both had moments in this match. That takes them out of the match. Now it's just down to Jay Uso and Drew McIntyre. I'm like, yeah, I guess that's it. Drew's gonna win. And he's counting down. They make you think he's definitely going to win. Hits the future shock, does the kip up. He's counting down, and he goes for a Claymore, and all of a sudden he stops moving. You're like, what the hell's going on? And then the camera pans down. CM Punk was under the ring. He's holding his ankle, and he's smiling. And Drew is just like, I cannot believe this. All of a sudden he gets super kicked. Spear from Jay. Goes to the top rope for an Uso splash. 1, 2, 3. Jay Uso is the #1 contender for Damian Priest United. He's not the United States champion anymore. He's the World Heavyweight Champion. So I guess that's going to be WrestleMania Backlash in France. So excellent main event. Big surprise. I did not think that Jay Uso was going to win, and he pulled it off. So we're going to be yeeting our way into France. And it really capped off a great show. CM Punk was really, really happy with himself after screwing Drew McIntyre again. Again, just furthering that story. And that story is not going to be paid off anytime soon. I don't think that CM Punk is quite ready to fight yet. I think that torn tricep is still healing, but he can do a little physicality. So good. Use him in these spots, and then probably SummerSlam. I'm guessing he's going to be ready, and we'll see him versus Drew McIntyre. But damn, they set a lot of stories up for the future. They set a lot of stories up for the short term. Great show. The moments with Cody Rhodes and The Rock were phenomenal. Just the moments with Cody Rhodes and Paul Levesque were phenomenal. If that was the whole entire segment, I'd have been a very happy person. But The Rock just put it over the top. Put it way over the top. The action tonight, for as short as some matches were, and as many commercial breaks as there were, everything was great. I shouldn't say great, but nothing was bad. Um, John Cena making an appearance in wrestling. Come on, it's the Raw after WrestleMania. They're giving you Raw after WrestleMania surprises. Just just phenomenal stuff. I had so much fun watching this. I want to know what does everybody think in the chat. Give this Raw after WrestleMania a thumbs up, thumbs down, and I want when you do that, I want you to think about last year's debacle when you make that vote. I am curious though to see what Twitter is saying about it, because hey, sometimes they do actually get it right. Like I've never seen numbers for a pay-per-view like this before, but 94% thumbs up last night with 355 votes for WrestleMania Night 2. Damn. Yeah, and right now we have 88% thumbs up on Twitter. So people really like the show. Good surprises. You had some NXT people showing up and having good showcase matches. We got, Grash gives it a thumbs up. Nafis gives it a thumbs up. Daniel Shell gives it a thumbs up. I think tonight is all day long a thumbs up show. It's so nice to get on here and talk about a Raw where I'm just going through all the good stuff. There's nothing bad. There's nothing that insulted my intelligence. Thumbs up. Interesting that it sounds like with Ava mentioning that they have draft picks, they will be on equal level. Yeah, that is an interesting thing. Ava is, I guess NXT is going to be involved in the draft as well. So they'll lose some people. They might get some main roster people back, which is pretty cool. Mushoon gives it a thumbs up. Billy Hefner will give it an 8 out of 10. I guess that's fine for me. Alex Cars gives it a thumbs up. Yeah. Crash says it best here. WWE pulled their thumb out their ass this year. 100%. 100%. Because last year was a disaster. This year. And you know what? We can put all that stuff behind us. I really do believe we can put all that crap behind us. I don't think we'll ever see Vince McMahon have any power in this company ever again. And it's just onward and upward from here. You have somebody who's not a complete egomaniac that can listen to ideas and, wants to just put out the best product possible. And that's Paul Levesque. The Paul Levesque era is going to be very, very good. Yeah, this is a great question. Who should go to NXT to help build there? I got to tell you, I know it'll never happen, but last year, when I guess they were trying to get a network deal signed, so they started putting some bigger stars on NXT, and they had AJ Styles showing up there every now and then. Becky Lynch was the NXT Women's Champion during the fall, which has been largely forgotten about. But she put over a couple people. She, the Tiffany Stratton. She had, Lyra Valkyrie. She had some pretty damn good matches and really went down there to help. I think Becky Lynch would be great if she went over there. They'll never do it, but I think that'd be a good spot for her to kind of she stays on TV, but she kind of disappears. I think, Becky really needs to go through. She really needs to revamp that character because it really is like it's old. It's old. It's getting very long in the tooth. She's got to add an edge to herself. So we'll see. I think her and Seth could possibly start adding wrinkles to their game, but we shall see. Yeah, Andrew, Natty likes hanging out there, and Natalia obviously absolutely should. They should draft her to NXT because she should just transition out of being on air talent and start being a coach. I know they like throwing Natalia in there because she's good, to help navigate young, inexperienced, new women wrestlers through matches, but I'm tired of her. Really, it's time to move on. It's time to move on. She should if she'd be better served being down there as a coach. Yeah, and whatever. It's just Billy. I don't like her either. She's a piece of wood. It's funny. I saw that clip very recently. I don't know where, and I don't know why, but that was so. I was like, oh my god, the Tyson thing where she's walking around in lingerie and he's like just ignoring her. Good stuff. Anyway, there's a lot of possibilities. Chad Gable will be great down there, but we'll see what happens. But as Quentin Walters says, please like, subscribe, and share this live video. Also check out the Wrestleview website and social medias and join the conversation. We thank you for that. Yeah, I mean, look, she's a good wrestler. She does the basics well. She's a terrible character. She cannot act. And I'm sorry, like the name of the game is, wrestling. And to be a good wrestler, you have to have as much character as you are in have the ring ability. If you don't have both, you really can't succeed. I don't think she ever had a character ever. She just kind of just exists on her family name. That's the whole gimmick. She never grew beyond that. So that's why I say that she's kind of dull, because there's just nothing there. In any event, I'm going to start to wrap this thing up because it's 12:30. I still want to go and hang out with Victoria a little bit while because I think she's got the baby down. So I'm going to get out of here. I had a really great time. Thank you so much, everybody, for keeping the chat going, keeping it lively, and having some conversation with me. And listen to me just talk one more time about pro wrestling. I love what's going on right now. I love WWE. I love professional wrestling, and I can't wait. My birthday's on Sunday, but like my real birthday is going to be like on Monday, like recapping Raw again from Montreal. I think it's going to be a great show. I can't wait to see it. And hey, you never know. Maybe I'll come back again and do it. But until then, until the next time I see you, thank you all so much. I appreciate everybody in the chat. Whether we agree or disagree, I appreciate you for just tuning in and listening. So have a great night. I'll see you when I see you. Keep following the recaps, and thank you. You're welcome. And I'll see you down the road. Have a great night, everybody. Thanks so much. Bye.